is the capital city of Canada. It is located in the southern portion of the province of Ontario, at the confluence of the Ottawa River and the Rideau River. Ottawa boasts numerous foreign embassies, key buildings, organizations, and institutions of Canada's government. These include the Parliament of Canada, the Supreme Court, the residence of Canada's Viceroy, and office of the Prime Minister. 16 founded in 1826 as Bytown, and incorporated as Ottawa in 1855. 17, its original boundaries were expanded through numerous annexations and were ultimately replaced by a new city incorporation and amalgamation in 2001. The municipal government of Ottawa is established and governed by the City of Ottawa Act of the Government of Ontario. It has an elected city council across 24 wards and a mayor elected citywide. Ottawa has the highest proportion of university-educated residents among Canadian cities, 18, and is home to several colleges and universities, research and cultural institutions, including the University of Ottawa, Carleton University, Algonquin College, College Law Site, the National Arts Centre, the National Gallery of Canada, and numerous national museums, monuments, and historic sites. 19, it is one of the most visited cities in Canada, with over 11 million visitors annually. 2021, early history Champlain sees Ottawa Valley became habitable around 10,000 years ago, following the natural draining of the Champlain Sea. 25, 26 archaeological findings of arrowheads, tools, and pottery indicate that indigenous populations first settled in the area about 6,500 years ago. 27, 28. These findings suggest that these Algonquin people were engaged in foraging, hunting, and fishing, but also trade and travel. 3 major rivers meet within Ottawa, making it an important trade and travel area for thousands of years. 27. The Algonquins are a broad indigenous people who are closely related to the Odawa and Ojibwe peoples. 2930, this period ended with the arrival of settlers and colonization of North America by Europeans during and after the 15th century. 31, European exploration and early development in 1610. Eddie N. Braille became the first documented European to navigate the Ottawa River, passing what would become Ottawa on his way to the Great Lakes. 3 years later, Samuel D. Champlain wrote about the waterfalls in the area and about his encounters with the Algonquin people. 33, the first non-Indigenous settlement in the area was created by Philemon Wright, a New Englander. Wright founded a lumber town in the area on the 7th of March 1800 on the north side of the river, across from the present-day city of Ottawa and Hull. 30 for 35. He, with 5 other families and 25 laborers, also created an agricultural community, which was named Wrightstown. 3637. Wright pioneered the Ottawa Valley timber trade, soon to be the area's most significant economic activity, by transporting timber by river from the Ottawa Valley to Quebec City. 38, in 1826. News of the British military's impending construction of the Rideau Canal led to land speculators, founding a community on the south side of the Ottawa River. 39. The following year, the town was named after British military engineer Colonel John By, who was responsible for the entire Rideau Waterway construction project. 40. The Rideau Canal provided a secure route between Montreal and Kingston on Lake Ontario. It bypassed a vulnerable stretch of the St. Lawrence River bordering the state of New York that had left gray supply ships bound for southwestern Ontario easily exposed to enemy fire. During the War of 1812, 41 camp used by soldiers and laborers of the Rideau Canal on the south side of the Ottawa River in 1826. The building of the canal attracted many land speculators to the area. Colonel By set up military barracks on the site of today's Parliament Hill. He also laid out the streets of the town and created 2 distinct neighborhoods named Upper Town, west of the canal, and Lower Town, east of the canal, similar to its Upper Canada and Lower Canada namesakes. Historically, Upper Town was predominantly English-speaking and Protestant, whereas Lower Town was mostly French, Irish, and Catholic. 40 to Bytown's population grew to 1,000 as the Rideau Canal was completed in 1832. 4340 for Bytown's early pioneer period saw Irish labor unrest during the Shiners' War from 1835 to 1845-45 and political dissension that was evident in the 1849 Stony Monday riot. 46. In 1855, Bytown was renamed Ottawa and incorporated as a city. 23 William Pittman was installed as the first city clerk, serving from 1844 to 1891, guiding Ottawa through 36 years of development, leading the hiring of key municipal roles, founding civic organizations, and proposing a set of bylaws for the city. 47, 48, 49. Selection as capital. Selection of Ottawa as the capital of Canada predates the Confederation of Canada. The choice was contentious and not straightforward, with the Parliament of the United Province of Canada holding more than 200 votes over several decades to attempt to settle on a legislative solution to the location of the capital. 50. The Governor-General of the province had designated Kingston as the capital in 1841. However, the major population centers of Toronto and Montreal, as well as the former capital of Lower Canada, Quebec City, all had legislators dissatisfied with Kingston. Anglophone merchants in Quebec were the leading group supportive of the Kingston arrangement. 51. In 1842, a vote rejected Kingston as the capital. 52. And study of potential candidates included the then-named Bytown, but that option proved less popular than Toronto or Montreal. 53. In 1843, a report of the Executive Council recommended Montreal as the capital as a more fortifiable location and commercial center. However, the Governor-General refused to execute a move without a parliamentary vote. 54. In 1844, the Queen's acceptance of a parliamentary vote moved the capital to Montreal. 55. In 1849, after violence in Montreal, a series of votes was held, with Kingston and Bytown again considered potential capitals. However, the successful proposal was for two cities to share capital status and the legislature to alternate sitting in each, Quebec City and Toronto, in a policy known as perambulation. 56, 57 logistical difficulties made this an unpopular arrangement. 58, and although an 1856 vote passed for the lower house of Parliament to relocate permanently to Quebec City, the upper house refused to approve funding. 59, the funding impasse led to the ending of the legislature's role in determining the seat of government. The legislature requested the Queen determine the seat of government. The Queen then acted on the advice of her Governor-General Edmund Head, 60, who, after reviewing proposals from various cities, selected the recently renamed Ottawa. The Queen sent a letter to colonial authorities selecting Ottawa as the capital, effective the 31st of December, 1857. George Brown, briefly a co-premier of the province of Canada, attempted to reverse this decision but was unsuccessful. The Parliament ratified the Queen's choice in 1859, with Quebec serving as interim capital from 1859 to 1865. 5061. The relocation process began in 1865, with the first session of Parliament held in the new buildings in 1866. The buildings were generally well received by legislators. 60 to Ottawa in 1859, before construction on Parliament Hill. 2 years prior, Queen Victoria selected the city as the permanent capital of the province of Canada. Ottawa was chosen as the capital for two primary reasons. 63. First, Ottawa's isolated location, surrounded by dense forest far from the Canada-US border and situated on a cliff face, would make it more defensible from attack. 64. 65. Second, Ottawa was approximately midway between Toronto and Kingston in Canada West and Montreal and Quebec City in Canada East, making the selection an important political compromise. 66, 67 other minor considerations included that despite Ottawa's regional isolation, there was water transportation access from spring to fall, both to Montreal via the Ottawa River and to Kingston via the Rideau waterway. 68. Additionally, by 1854, it also had a modern all-season railway, the Bytown and Prescott Railway, that carried passengers, lumber and supplies the 82 kilometers, 50 miles, to Prescott on the St. Lawrence River and beyond. 3660 for Ottawa's small size was also thought to be less prone to politically motivated mob violence, as had happened in the previous Canadian capitals. 69. Finally, the government already owned the land that eventually became Parliament Hill, which it thought would be an ideal location for the Parliament buildings. 66 the original Parliament buildings, which included the center, east and west blocks, were constructed between 1859 and 1866 in the Gothic Revival style. 70. At the time, this was the largest North American construction project ever attempted, and Public Works Canada and its architects were not initially well prepared for the relatively shallow-lying bedrock and had to redesign architectural drawings, leading to delays. The Library of Parliament and Parliament Hill landscaping were completed in 1876. 71 post-Confederation land were flats after the 1900 Hull Ottawa fire. The fire destroyed 1/5 of Ottawa and 2/3 of neighboring Hull, Quebec. Starting in the 1850s, entrepreneurs known as lumber barons began to build large sawmills, which became some of the largest mills in the world. 70 rail lines built in 1854 connected Ottawa to Area's South End. From 1886 to the Transcontinental Rail Network via Hull and Lachute, Quebec. 73. By 1885, Ottawa was the only city in Canada whose downtown streetlights were powered entirely by electricity. 74. In 1889, the government developed and distributed 60 water leases still in use to mainly local industrialists, which gave them permission to generate electricity and operate hydroelectric generators at Chaudière Falls. 75. Public transportation began in 1870 with a horse car system. 76, overtaken in the 1890s by a vast electric streetcar system that operated until 1959. 77, the Hull Ottawa fire of 1900 destroyed 2/3 of Hull, including 40% of its residential buildings and most of the buildings of its largest employers along the waterfront. 78, it began as a chimney fire in Hull on the north side of the river, but due to wind, spread rapidly throughout the widespread wooden buildings. In Ottawa, it destroyed about 1/5 of the buildings from the Leberton Flats south to Booth Street and down to Dow's Lake. 7980. The fire had a disproportionate effect on West End lower-income neighborhoods. It had also spread among many lumber yards, a major part of Ottawa's economy. The fire destroyed approximately 3,200 buildings and caused an estimated $300 million in damage in 2020 Canadian dollars. 81. An estimated 14% of Ottawans were left homeless. 82. A sepia photograph from the 4th floor of a building overlooking a triangular public plaza. Many old cars with canvas tops are parked in the square. Neo-Gothic buildings make up 2/3 of the square, and a set of tram tracks comprise the 3rd Ottawa Post Office, located in Confederation Square, pictured in the early 20th century. On the 1st of June 1912, the Grand Trunk Railway opened both the Chateau Laurier Hotel and its neighboring downtown Union Station. 8384. On the 3rd of February 1916, the center block of the Parliament buildings was destroyed by a fire. 85. The House of Commons and Senate was temporarily relocated to the recently constructed Victoria Memorial Museum, now the Canadian Museum of Nature. 86, until the completion of the new center block in 1922. The centerpiece of the new Parliament buildings is a dominant Gothic Revival-styled structure known as the Peace Tower. 87. The location of what is now Confederation Square was a former commercial district centrally located in a triangular area downtown surrounded by historically significant heritage buildings, including the Parliament buildings. It was redeveloped as a ceremonial center in 1938 as part of the City Beautiful movement. It became the site of the National War Memorial in 1939 and was designated a National Historic Site in 1984-88. A new central post office, now the Privy Council of Canada, was constructed in 1939 beside the War Memorial because the original post office building on the proposed Confederation Square grounds had to be demolished. 89. Post-Second World War Day, downtown Ottawa in 1945, to mark the end of World War II. Gruber plans National Capital Greenbelt surrounding the urban core. The John G. Diefenbacher Building was Ottawa's fourth city hall from 1958 on. Ottawa's former industrial appearance was vastly altered by the 1950 Gruber Plan. 90. Prime Minister Mackenzie King hired French architect planner Jacques Gruber to design an urban plan for managing development in the National Capital Region to make it more aesthetically pleasing and a location more befitting for Canada's political center. 91-92. Gruber's plan included the creation of the National Capital Greenbelt, the Queechee-Zibi-Meakin, and the Queensway Highway System. His plan also called for changes in institutions, such as moving downtown Union Station, now the Senate of Canada building, to the suburbs, the removal of the streetcar system, the decentralization of selected government offices, the relocation of industries, and removal of substandard housing from the downtown. The plan also recommended the creation of the Rideau Canal and Ottawa River pathways. 91, 93, 94. In 1958, the National Capital Commission was established as a Crown corporation through the National Capital Act. The Commission's original mission was to implement the Gruber Plan recommendations conducted during the 1960s and 1970s. 95. This marked the creation of a permanent political infrastructure for managing the capital region. Prior attempts to do so in the previous 50 years had been temporary. These included plans from the 1899 Ottawa Improvement Commission (OIC), the Todd Plan in 1903, the Holt Report in 1915, and the Federal District Commission (FDC) established in 1927 with a 16-year mandate. 96-97 from 1931 to 1958. City Hall had been at the Transportation Building adjacent to Union Station, now part of the Rideau Center. In 1958, a new City Hall opened on Green Island near Rideau Falls, where urban renewal had recently transformed this industrial location into a green space. 98. In 2001, Ottawa City Hall returned downtown to a 1990 building on 110 Laurier Avenue West, the home of the now-defunct regional municipality of Ottawa-Carleton. This new location was close to Ottawa's first 1849 to 1877 and second 1877 to 1931 City Halls. 99. This new City Hall complex also contained an adjacent 19th century restored heritage building formerly known as the Ottawa Normal School. 98. From the 1960s to the 1980s, there was a large increase in construction in the National Capital Region. 100, which was followed by large growth in the high-tech industry during the 1990s and 2000s. 101. Ottawa became one of Canada's largest high-tech cities and was nicknamed Silicon Valley North. By the 1980s, Bell Northern Research, later Nortel, employed thousands, and large federally assisted research facilities, such as the National Research Council, contributed to an eventual technology boom. The early companies led to newer firms, such as Newbridge Networks, Mitel, and Corel. 100 to 103. In 1991, provincial and federal governments responded to a land claim submitted by the Algonquins of Ontario regarding the unceded status of the land on which Ottawa is situated. 100 for negotiations have been ongoing, with an eventual goal to sign a treaty that would release Canada from claims for misuse of land under Algonquin title. affirm rights of the Algonquins, and negotiate conditions of the title transfer. 105 Ottawa's city limits have expanded over time, including a large expansion, effective the 1st of January 2001, when the province of Ontario amalgamated all the constituent municipalities of the regional municipality of Ottawa-Carleton into a single city. 106 Regional Chair Bob Chiarelli was elected as the new city's first mayor in the 2000 municipal election, defeating Gloucester Mayor Claudette Kane. 107. The city's growth led to strains on the public transit system and road bridges. On the 15th of October 2001, a diesel-powered light rail transit LRT line was introduced on an experimental basis. Known today as the Trillium Line, it was dubbed the O-Train and connected downtown Ottawa to the southern suburbs via Carleton University. The decision to extend the O-Train and to replace it with an electric light rail system was a major issue in the 2006 municipal elections, where Chiarelli was defeated by businessman Larry O'Brien. 108. After O'Brien's selection, transit plans were changed to establish a series of light rail stations from the east side of the city into downtown, and for using a tunnel through the downtown core. 109. Jim Watson, the last mayor of Ottawa before amalgamation, was re-elected in the 2010 election. 110. In October 2012, the City Council approved the final Lansdowne Park Plan, an agreement with the Ottawa Sports and Entertainment Group that saw a new stadium, increased green space and housing, and retail added to the site. 111. 112. In December 2012, City Council voted unanimously to move forward with the Confederation Line, a 12.5 kilometers, 7.8 miles light rail transit line, which was opened on the 14th of September 2019. 113. Old Ottawa refers to the former pre-amalgamation city, as well as the former city of Vanier, a densely populated, historically francophone, working-class enclave, and the former village of Rockcliffe Park, a wealthy residential neighborhood adjacent to the Prime Minister's official residence at 24, Sussex, and the Governor-General's residence. 115. 116. The Old City includes the downtown core and older neighborhoods to the east, west, and south. These vibrant neighborhoods include the bustling commercial and cultural areas of Old Ottawa South, Centertown, Lower Town, and Sandy Hill, the affluent tree-lined neighborhoods of the Glebe, Westboro, and New Edinburgh, and the historically blue-collar communities of Hintonburg, Mechanicsville, Carlington, and Le Breton Flats, with a mixture of housing types, artist lofts, and industrial uses. The Old City also includes the ethnic enclaves of Chinatown and Little Italy, suburbs, and outlying communities map of Ottawa showing urban areas and names of historical communities. Modern Ottawa is made up of 11 historic townships, 10 of which are from the former Carleton County and 1 from the former Russell County. 117. Ottawa city limits are bounded on the east by the United Counties of Prescott and Russell, by Renfrew County and Lanark County in the west, on the south by the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville, and the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry, and on the north by the regional county municipality of Les Collines Delodout and the city of Gatineau. 118. 119. The main suburban areas extend a considerable distance to the east, west, and south of the inner city. 120. 121. These areas also include the former cities of Cumberland, Gloucester, Canada, and Nepean. 122. The towns of Stittsville and Richmond within the former Galbourne Township are to the southwest. 115. 123. Nepean as a suburb also includes Bear Haven. 115. 124. The communities of Manotick and Riverside South are on the other side of the Rideau River, and Greeley, southeast of Riverside South. 115. A number of rural communities, villages, and hamlets are administratively part of the Ottawa municipality. 120. Some of these communities are Burrits Rapids, Ashton, Fallowfield, Cars, Fitzroy Harbor, Munster, Carp, North Gower, Metcalfe, Constance Bay, and Osgood. 115. Several towns are within the federally defined National Capital Region, but outside the city of Ottawa municipal boundaries. 120. These include communities of Almonte, Carleton Place, Embrun, Kempville, Rockland, and Russell. 115. Ottawa above the Ottawa River in 2017. Left to right, Byward Market, Fairmont Chateau Laurier, National Gallery of Canada, Rideau Canal Locks, Parliament Hill with Library of Parliament and Peace Tower, Alexandra Bridge, Downtown Ottawa Towers, Supreme Court of Canada Architectural Article. Architecture of Ottawa completed in 1913. The Connaught Building was constructed in a Gothic Revival style. Influenced by government structures, much of the city's architecture tends to be formal and functional. The city is also marked by romantic and picturesque styles of architecture, such as the Parliament Building's Gothic Revival architecture. 125. Ottawa's domestic architecture contains single-family homes, but also includes smaller numbers of semi-detached houses, row houses, and apartment buildings. 126. Many domestic buildings in Centertown are clad in red brick, with trim in wood, stone, or metal. Variations are common, depending on the cultural heritage of the neighborhoods and the time they were built. 127. The skyline has been controlled by building height restrictions originally implemented to keep Parliament Hill and the Peace Tower at 90 to point to meters 300 to feet visible from most parts of the city. 128. Today, several buildings are slightly taller than the Peace Tower, with the tallest being the Claridge Icon at 143 meters for 169 feet. 129. Many federal buildings in the National Capital Region are managed by Public Works Canada, which leads to heritage conservation in its renovations and management of buildings, such as the renovation of the Senate Building. 130. 131. Most of the federal land in the region is managed by the National Capital Commission. Its control of much undeveloped land and appropriations powers gives the NCC a great deal of influence over the SID. Wise development. 132. 133. Climate. Ottawa has a warm summer humid continental climate. DFB. True Artha DCBO. DCBC 135 with 4 distinct seasons and is between zones 5A and 5B on the Canadian Plant Hardiness Scale. 136. The average July maximum temperature is 26.7 C/80F. The average January minimum temperature is 14.0 C, 6.8 F. 137. The highest temperature ever recorded in Ottawa was 37.8 C, 100 F on the 4th of July 1913, the 1st of August 1917, and the 11th of August 1944. 138. 139. Summers are generally warm and humid in Ottawa. On average, there are 11 days across the 3 summer months of June, July, and August that have temperatures exceeding 30 Celsius 86 F. Periods of hotter weather are normally accompanied by high humidity levels. 140. Snow and ice are dominant during the winter season. On average, almost every day of January, February, and March has more than 5 centimeters of snowpack. 29, 28, and 22 days, respectively, and on average, approximately 12 days a year see 5 centimeters or more of snowfall, with 4 of those having over 10 centimeters. 140. An average of 17 days of the year experience temperatures below 20 C for F. 140. Spring and fall are variable, prone to extreme changes in temperature and conditions. The month of May, for example, on average gets a day below freezing at night every other year. Conversely, a day surpassing 30 C. 140. Annual rainfall averages around 750 millimeters per year. Total precipitation 938 millimeters, 140 spread throughout the year. with some variation. May through November are the months more likely to see significant precipitation events, with each month having an average of 3 days of over 1 centimeter of precipitation, with December through April seeing on average 1 to 2 days. May through November have, on average, over 8 centimeters of rainfall per month, with peaks of approximately 9 centimeters in June and September. -1 through April have less than 8 centimeters, with February being the driest month at an average of 5 centimeters of precipitation. 140 Ottawa experiences about 2,080 hours of average sunshine, annually 45% of possible. 140 predominate wind direction in Ottawa is from the west. Easterly airflow is more common during periods of wet weather as well as localized river lake effect cells on summer afternoons. 141 wind speed is on average higher during the winter, with northerly winds predominating during cold waves. 138 141 physical geography. Downtown Ottawa is situated on the south bank of the Ottawa River, with neighboring Gatineau in the background across the river. Ottawa is situated on the south bank of the Ottawa River and contains the mounds of the Rideau River and Rideau Canal. 158 the Rideau Canal-Rideau Waterway first opened in 1832 and is 200 kilometers 126 miles long. 159 it connects the St. Lawrence River on Lake Ontario at Kingston to the Ottawa River near Parliament Hill. It was able to bypass the unnavigable sections of the Cataraqui and Rideau Rivers and various small lakes along the waterway due to flooding techniques and the construction of 47 water transport locks. Ottawa is situated in a lowland on top of Paleozoic carbonate and shale and is surrounded by more craggy Precambrian igneous and metamorphic formations. Ottawa has had fluvial deposition of till and sands, leading to the widespread formation of eskers. There are limited distinct features arising from glacial deposits, but Ottawa was affected by the late Viscontian advance. Before the draining of the Champlain Sea, the area had high salinity. After the draining of the sea, the area had pine-dominated forests. 160 Ottawa is located within the Western Quebec seismic zone, and while relatively inactive, the city does occasionally experience earthquakes. 161, 162, 163, 164, 165. Built environment during part of the winter season, the Ottawa section of the canal forms the world's largest skating rink, thereby providing both a recreational venue and a 7.8 kilometers for 0.8 miles transportation path to downtown. For ice skaters from Carleton University and Dow's Lake to the Rideau Center and National Arts Center. 166. On the 29th of June 2007, the Rideau Canal was recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. 167. The older part of the city, including what remains of Bytown, is known as Lower Town. 168 and occupies an area between the canal and the rivers. Across the canal to the west lie both Centertown and downtown Ottawa, which share a border along Gloucester Street. 169. These core neighborhoods contain streets such as Elgin and Bank, which fill the role of commercial main streets in the region. 170. Centertown is next to downtown, which includes a substantial economic and architectural government presence across multiple branches of government. The legislature's work takes place in the parliamentary precinct, which includes buildings on Parliament Hill and others downtown, such as the Senate of Canada building. 171 important buildings in the executive branch include the office of the Prime Minister and Privy Council, as well as many civil service buildings. 172 173. The Supreme Court of Canada building can also be found in this area. 174. Across the Ottawa River, which forms the border between Ontario and Quebec, lies the city of Gatineau, itself the result of amalgamation of the former Quebec cities of Hull and Aylmer. 175. Although formally and administratively separate cities into different provinces, Ottawa and Gatineau, along with several nearby municipalities, collectively constitute the National Capital Region, which is considered a single metropolitan area. 176. One federal crown corporation, the National Capital Commission, or NCC, has significant land holdings in both cities, including sites of historical and touristic importance. 176. The NCC, through its responsibility for planning and development of these lands, has a crucial role in shaping the development of the city. 177. Around the main urban area is an extensive greenbelt, administered by the NCC for conservation and leisure, and comprising mostly forest, farmland, and marshland. 178. Language of bilingualism became official policy for the conduct of municipal business in 2002. 192 and 37.6% of the population can speak both languages as of 2016, making it the largest city in Canada with both English and French as co-official languages. 193. Those who identify their mother tongue as English constitute 62.4%, while those with French as their mother tongue make up 14.2% of the population. Regarding respondents' knowledge of one or both official languages, 59.9% and 1.5% of the population know English and French only, respectively, while 37.2% know both official languages. The overall Ottawa-Gatineau Census Metropolitan Area CMA has a larger proportion of French speakers than Ottawa, since Gatineau's population's first language is mostly French. However, Gatineau is also the most bilingual city in Canada, making the region one of the most bilingual. An additional 20.4% of the population list languages other than English and French as their mother tongue. These include Arabic 3.2%, Chinese 3.0%, Spanish 1.2%, Italian 1.1%, and many others. 191. Economici also, Economy of Ontario Federal Government Buildings and Tunney's Pastures of 2015. The region of Ottawa-Gatineau has the 6th highest total household income of all Canadian. Metropolitan area's $82,053, and the Ontario portion more directly overlapping, the city of Ottawa has a higher household income, $86,451. 194. The median household income after taxes in the city of Ottawa is $73,745 in 2016, was higher than the national median of $61,348. 195. Ottawa's unemployment rate has remained below the national and provincial unemployment rates since 2006, with a rate of 5.2% in April 2022, low compared to the decade preceding. 196. 197. In 2019, Mercer ranks Ottawa with the 3rd highest quality of living of any Canadian city and 19th highest in the world. 198. It is also rated the 2nd cleanest city in Canada and 3rd cleanest city in the world. 199. Ottawa's primary employers are the Public Service of Canada and the high-tech industry, although tourism and healthcare also represent increasingly sizable economic activities. The federal government is the city's largest employer, employing over 116,000 individuals from the National Capital Region. 200. The national headquarters for many federal departments are in Ottawa, particularly throughout Centertown and in the Terraces de la Chaudière and Place du Portage complexes in Hull. The National Defence Headquarters in Ottawa is the main command centre for the Canadian Armed Forces. It hosts the Department of National Defence. 201. During the summer, the city hosts the Ceremonial Guard, which performs functions such as the Changing the Guard. 202. As Canada's national capital, tourism is an important part of Ottawa's economy, particularly after the 150th anniversary of Canada, centred in Ottawa. The lead up to the festivities saw much investment in civic infrastructure, upgrades to tourist infrastructure, and increases in national cultural attractions. 203. The National Capital Region annually attracts an estimated 22 million tourists who spend about $2.2 billion and support 30,600 jobs directly. 200 for 205 Canada Research Park is Canada's largest. In addition to the economic activities that come with being the national capital, Ottawa is an important technology center. In 2015, its 1,800 companies employed approximately 63,400 people. 206. The concentration of companies in this industry earned the city the nickname of Silicon Valley North. 101. Most of these companies specialize in telecommunications, software development, and environmental technology. Large technology companies such as Nortel, Corel, Mitel, Cognos, Halogen Software, Shopify, and JDS Uniphase were founded in the city. 207. Ottawa also has regional locations for Nokia, 3M, Adobe Systems, Bell Canada, IBM, and Hewlett-Packard. 208. Many of the telecommunications and new technology are in the western part of the city, formerly Canada. The tech sector was doing particularly well in 2015, 2016. 209, 210, Nordion, ISTAT, and the National Research Council of Canada and ORI are part of the growing life science sector. 211, 212, the health sector is another major employer, which employs over 18,000 people in the city. 213, business, finance, administration, and sales and service rank high among types of occupations. 185, approximately 10% of Ottawa's GDP is derived from finance, insurance, and real estate, whereas employment in goods-producing industries is only half the national average. 214. The City of Ottawa is the second largest employer, 215, 216, with approximately 2,100 people employed by the Ottawa Police Service and 13,300 full-time equivalent non-police employees. 217, 218, in 2016, Ottawa experienced an increase of 10,000 jobs over the 2012 average growth, which was relatively slower than in the late 1990s. 200, 219. All major clusters tracked by the city saw increases in employment between 2014 and 2019. 220 major areas of growth in the 2010s included local and federal administration, finance, and accommodation. 200, between 2008 and 2020, there was growth in the number of government employees and a reduction in high-tech jobs, a reversal of previous trends from 2003 to 2008. 219, 220, Ottawa already has the largest rural economy among Canada's major cities. 221. In Ottawa, the rural economy contributes over $1 billion to the GDP. Agriculture alone accounts for $400 million, $136.7 million of which is farm gate sales. 222, rural economic activity includes agriculture, retail sales, construction, forestry and mining aggregates, tourism, manufacturing, personal and business services, and transportation, to name a few. Rural employment expanded by a healthy 18% from 1996 to 2001. 221. Media further information. Media in Ottawa Gatineau remain daily local newspapers are printed in Ottawa. 2 English newspapers. The Ottawa Citizen, established as the Bytown Packet in 1845, and the Ottawa Sun, and 1 French newspaper, Le Droit. 223, 224. The city is also home to local stations of the television broadcast networks and systems CBC and CTV, as well as English and French radio stations. 225, 226, 227. In addition to the market's local media services, Ottawa is home to several national media operations, including CPAC Canada's National Legislature Broadcaster, 228, and the Parliamentary Bureau staff of virtually all of Canada's major news-gathering organizations in television, radio, and print. The city is also home to the head office of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. 229. Public transportation O-Train crossing the Rideau River. The O-Train is a light rail public transportation service provided by OC Transpo. Ottawa's public transit system is managed by OC Transpo. 297. OC Transpo operates an integrated, multimodal rapid transit system, which includes the O-Train light rail system. The 4-line public rail system includes 3 existing lines and 1 currently under construction. Line 1, Confederation Line, is an east-west line which operates medium-capacity light rail vehicles and travels under the city's downtown core. 298 Line 2, Trillium Line, is a north-south rail transit corridor which utilizes a mix of Stadler flirts and Alstom-Coradia links connecting the south end of Ottawa to Line 1 at Bayview Station. 299 300 Line 3 is an under-construction mass transit line that will run mostly in parallel to Line 1, splitting at Lincoln Field Station and continuing west. 301 Line 4 is a 4 kilometers to 0.5 miles airport link connecting the Trillium Line to the Ottawa Macdonald-Cartier International Airport, a vast bus rapid transit BRT system that uses a series of dedicated bus-only roadways named the Transitway and reserved lanes on city streets and highways. The Transitway has long distances between stops and full station amenities, including platforms, walkways, fare gates, ticket booths, elevators, and convenience stores. It connects Ottawa's suburbs to the inner city. The rapid bus service network operates all day, 7 days a week, reaching the suburban communities of Canada to the west, Bearhaven to the southwest, Orleans to the east, and South Keys to the south. 300 to over 190 local bus routes are served by a fleet of ordinary, articulated, and double-decker buses. 300 to both OC Transpo and the Quebec-based Société de Transport de l'Outhouse to operate bus transit services between Ottawa and Gatineau. OC Transpo also operates a door-to-door bus service for disabled individuals known as Paratranspo. 297. There is a proposed LRT system that could link Ottawa with Gatineau. 303. Airports. The Ottawa Macdonald-Cartier International Airport is the city's principal airport. There are also 3 main regional airports: Gatineau Ottawa Executive Airport, Ottawa Carp Airport, and Ottawa Rockcliffe Airport. Intercity Transportation Ottawa Station is the main intercity train station operated by Via Rail. It is located for kilometers to 0.5 miles to the east of downtown in Eastway Gardens adjacent to O-Train Tremblay Station and serves Via Rail's corridor route. 305. The city is also served by intercity passenger rail service at Fallowfield Station in the southwestern suburban community of Bearhaven. Intercity bus services are currently provided by several carriers at various stops throughout the city. Following the closure of the former Ottawa Central Station bus terminal on the 1st of June 2021, the primary freeways are the East-West Provincial Highway for 117, designated as the Queensway, and part of the Trans-Canada Highway, Ottawa-Carleton Highway 174, formerly Provincial Highway 17, Highway 7, and the North-South Provincial Highway for 116, designated as Veterans Memorial Highway, which connects to other 400 series highways via the 401. 312th. Primary and secondary education Ottawa has for main public school boards: English, English Catholic, French, and French Catholic. The English Language Ottawa-Carleton District School Board, OCDSB, is the largest board with 147 schools, 230 followed by the English Catholic Ottawa Catholic School Board with 85 schools, 231. The 2 French language boards are the French Catholic Conseil d'écoles catholiques du Centre Estate with 49 schools, 232, and the French Conseil d'écoles publiques de l'Est de l'Ontario with 37 schools. 233. Ottawa also has numerous private schools which are not part of a board. 230 for the Ottawa Public Library was created in 1906 as part of the Carnegie Library System. 235, as of 2008, the library system had 2.3 million items at its 30 for branches and to mobile libraries. 236, approximately 9.5 million loans were conducted in 2020, approximately 6.7 million physical loans, and the remainder digital items. 237, higher education and research. Ottawa is known as the most educated city in Canada, with over half the population having graduated from college and/or university. 238, Ottawa has the highest per capita concentration of engineers, scientists, and residents with PhDs in Canada. The city has 2 main public universities and 2 main public colleges. Carleton University was founded in 1942 to meet the needs of returning World War II veterans and later became Ontario's first private, non-denominational college. Over time, Carleton transitioned into the highly ranked comprehensive university it is today. 240. The university's main campus sits between Old Ottawa South and Dow's Lake. Carleton's Catholic-affiliated university college is the Dominican University College. 241. The University of Ottawa, originally named the College of Bytown, was the first post-secondary institution established in the city in 1848. The university later grew to become the largest English-French bilingual university in the world. 242. It is also a member of the U15, a group of highly respected research-intensive universities in Canada. 243. The university's main campus is in the Sandy Hill neighborhood, just adjacent to the city's downtown core. The University of Ottawa's Catholic-affiliated university college is St. Paul University. Algonquin College is a college of applied arts and technology founded in 1967. Its main campus is located in the City View neighborhood of College Ward. The college serves the National Capital Region and the outlying areas of Eastern Ontario, Western Quebec, and upstate New York. 244. The college has satellite campuses in Pembroke and Perth, as well as for international campuses through their international offshore partnerships. College Law Site is the largest French-language college in Ontario. Founded in 1989, its campus is located off the Aviation Parkway in the Carson Meadows neighborhood. Law Site has a satellite campus in Hawkesbury and a business office in Toronto. Other colleges and universities in the metropolitan area are located in the neighboring suburb of Gatineau, including the University of Quebec in Outaouais, Cégep de l'Ottawa, and Heritage College.